Welcome to the August edition of Inside Patient Attraction. I'm Colin Receiver. Now today I want to talk about why your website is worthless unless you're doing specific things to actually be seen by your prospects. Now, every marketing company out there in the world offers SEO and they tell you how great it is, but what we're going to talk about today is why all SEO is not created equal. Now, as a dentist, you probably know that not all crowns are created equal, right? There's the $500 crown and the $1,000 crown and the $1,500 crown that you probably place somewhere in that range. All SEO is not created equal either. And today we're going to talk about the big pitfalls and the golden things that you need to be doing to get your website found by the kinds of patients that you want to attract. Stick around. Welcome back to Inside Patient Attraction. I'm Colin Receiver, and I'm joined today by our Director of Digital Marketing, Lori Wood. Lori, welcome on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. So today, I want to talk about a very important topic for dentists, and that's SEO, or search engine optimization. And a lot of dentists think they're getting SEO, they're doing SEO, they're getting all these things, but are you really doing the right things to attract new patients? And that's going to be what we're going to talk about today, is what are these specific things that you need to be doing to attract more and better patients. So Lori, tell me, let's start off with the most basic right now. Why is the dentist interested in SEO?
Well, search engine optimization, SEO, it's a huge part of anything digital marketing. If you have a website, you have to do some SEO to make sure that you can show up. So, you know, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things on the back end that people that don't specialize in these type of services, they don't know what to do. So having a digital marketer be able to kind of pave the landscape for what they're going to do with SEO, it's huge because it's constantly changing. It's a constantly changing environment, and it's something that even we don't know. So it's parts of it that are really, really gray. You have to stay up on the industry and be able to really know what's going on.
From a consumer's perspective, why does a dentist want to do SEO?
Well, 91% of the people that are on the internet and they're looking for something, a specific service or anything that they're looking to buy, they start on the internet. So if you're not able to show up on that first page, 75% of those users, if they can't find you on the first page, then you know you're lost to them. So that's a really big thing. You have to be able to show up on that first page.
They don't go to the yellow pages anymore?
Not anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought they went to the yellow pages.
The internet has taken over.
Yeah, the yellow pages have gone by the wayside.
Right. Well, you know what, though, to be honest, people do go to yellowpages.com sometimes, but they still find you on the internet.
True.
Right.
So what would you consider, you know, you see not only SEO plans that we put together, but some competitive SEO plans. What would you say would be things to look for that might be what we'll call gray area in the SEO world? What are things that some SEO companies might put in there, but don't necessarily do anything for the dentist?
Well, you know, the big thing about SEO and anything when it comes to digital marketing is that you're competing against everyone. The big thing about it is that, you know, the digital landscape is huge. There's lots of people that are all competing for that same piece of the pie. So not only are our dentists competing against one another in small towns, but they're also competing against all the big box companies that have huge marketing dollars and are able to spend their money in other areas. And so to be able to show up organically, SEO-wise, and to know all of these back-end pieces that are constantly moving and keep your website at the very top, it's huge. So it's a big task, and someone really has to know what to do. There's lots of things like link building and keywords and a lot of things on the back end that most people wouldn't know. And I think it's very easy for someone to come in that's in the advertising industry and say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. But there's some very specific things for our dentists, I think, that SmartBox really has a handle on that other companies may not.
Tell me about some of those things you mentioned, like link building, backlinks.
Right.
What are those?
Well, link building, it's a concept that a practice that SEO marketers such as myself use in order to pull links into the website. And what that does for Google and the other SERPs is it shows them the authority for that page. And if you have lots of backlinks and lots of people wanting to link to the content on your page, it shows Google you have authority in the industry. So for a company such as us that does content writing, blog posting, that sort of thing, obviously we're very up to date when it comes to the world of dentistry. So we're able to create content, build backlinks to the most appropriate directories that have to do with that service. So it shows Google that we have lots of authority, that we really know, that website really knows what they're doing, and that they're a top player in that, which will show them at the top of the SERPs.
So Lori, tell me about duplicate content and penalties. What can you do to get Google mad at you?
There's lots of things you can do to make Google mad at you. Google holds about 80 to 90% of the market share when it comes to search engines. So of course, when you're familiar with Yahoo and Bing and some of the other search engines, Google's really the king. So of those, all the people that searched with Google, 80 to 90% of them, Google is really the master at these algorithms that determine whether or not a website's going to show up at the very top of the search engine rankings. So there are a lot of things, specifically with the newest algorithm, Penguin, that have really been geared towards websites that have bought backlinks. You know, a couple years ago, as SEO has really taken off and become a really, really big thing, years ago, in the last couple years, what's happened is that Google's on to some of these black hat tactics that SEO marketers use, and such as link building, keyword stuffing, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about here in a little bit. But there's lots of other things out there, but there's some really big ones that you can make Google mad at you, and you can fall off the ranks and you'll never get it back no matter how good your SEO is. And that's backlink buying and keyword stuffing are the biggest ones. Duplicate content, though. Content is certainly, you've heard the term content is king. Yep. That's a biggie in the SEO world. Content lets Google know, the content that you write for your site lets Google know what that site's about. It gives them a really good idea of how to crawl that site and what to show when people put a keyword term into a search engine. And when you have duplicate content, it's confusing to Google and the crawlers and the bots. So if you have a website and you're Smartbox Web Marketing for dental marketing, and there's another website out there that's similar, it would be very easy for that other website to steal your content off of your website. But Google knows. Google knows, and they can look at it and say, who has the unique, relevant content, and when was it first published? And that's how Google determines whether or not it is a duplicate content strike against you. And the algorithms really do not like duplicate content because it's so easy for people to steal information on the web. And so Google created the algorithms to say, nope, this is unique, and if it's unique, then you get the credit for it.
So Google, if I remember right, they actually introduced, talking about backlink buying, they actually introduced a disavow link tool.
They did,
for actually disavowing links that maybe somebody else is trying to use to sabotage your website with.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, this is a tool that is found in Webmaster Tools, and that's an area that the digital marketing team here at Smartbox is very, very familiar with, is Webmaster Tools. And we look at a lot of things within Webmaster Tools to make sure that the site is working accurately and that all the links are redirected properly and the site's loading the proper way. And there's lots of things that we look at on the back end to make sure that Google, is really interested in. But the backlinks tool is something that we use to make sure that no one is sabotaging the websites, and that's something that can happen a lot when it comes to backlinks. There are a lot of ways on the internet for competitors to really hurt your website. They can create faulty backlinks that have nothing to do with your site that really test Google's what they call authority to your site. It could be spam. They could put spam links on your site. There are a lot of companies out there that use backlink buying tools, and they'll purchase a lot of backlinks to a website because there used to be an idea in the world of marketing that the more backlinks you had to the site, obviously, the better your site is. And so there were agencies that came up several years back and said, hey, if you want to buy a lot of links to your website and really show Google and raise your organic search value, then you can do that by purchasing backlinks. And with the new algorithms with Penguin, all of that changed. And so there's a tool now in Webmaster Tools that allow you to disconnect some of those links in case someone's sabotaging your website, in case they're doing unnecessary backlinks or any way that they're trying to make your website look bad in the eyes of Google. There's ways to clean that up a little bit.
So let's talk about generally what is all this SEO stuff, the crawlers and the page rank.
Right.
Tell me about how all this works together.
Okay. Well, when it comes to the crawlers, most of the time when I speak of search engines for the sake of, being able to give most of the merit to Google, because Google does hold 80 to 90% of the people that are searching on the internet. But the search engines, we call them SERPs in our world. It's the search engines. But what they do is they go onto a site and they have something that they call spiders and crawlers and bots that go on through the site, and they crawl the website to look for to find out exactly what your website is about. So the crawlers go in. They look for specific keywords, look for certain tags, look for certain categories, certain things within your website that show them what that site's about. So then when a user like yourself goes in and searches for a dentist within, New Albany, Indiana, Google knows exactly which sites to portray to the user. So the crawlers and the bots, there's lots of things that they look for. One thing that's really interesting and what's unique about search engine marketing and anything digital marketing really, but search engine marketing specifically, is that, it's a really gray area. Not a lot of people know. There's not hard, fast rules when it comes to SEO. You have to really be up on the industry. You have to really follow the trends. You have to really do a lot of testing on your own to find out what's working. So, that's one thing here at SmartBox, between all the people that are on my team that have a lot of industry experience, we've done a lot of research. We've gone through a lot of training to learn what we've done, and we keep up to date on all the things that are happening in the industry to make sure that we're abreast of everything that's happening, because the algorithms change so fast. And between our experience and knowing how the dental industry works, we've been able to find out, hey, what's really, really going to work for our dentist, and what are these crawlers and these bots and all these guys looking for when it comes to dentistry. So I think we've got a pretty good handle on how that works now.
So let's start with the basic layer, if you want to call it that, is what you need to do on your website to do SEO, quote unquote, right?
To
do
right?
SEO, right?
Okay.
What needs to be looked at on your actual website to not only do the initial SEO, but ongoing, to make sure that you're looked at with a preferred light from Google?
Right, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the start SEO and then the ongoing SEO, because SEO is something it's ongoing. It's not something that happens it's one and done. You launch your website and you're finished. Really, the big things to think about when it comes to kind of, as of 2016, the biggies are to make sure that you have a mobile website. Google wants to make sure that it's a level playing field for anyone that's searching on the internet. So they want to make sure that if you have a mobile device, or if you have an iPad, or if you have a computer, or what have you, however you're choosing to search, that everyone has an ability to do so. So a mobile response website is of great importance. You have to make sure that your website is has very clean content when it comes to what you're talking about. So our dentists want to make sure that their website is specifically about dentistry, and maybe not about dentistry or waffles. It has to make sure that it's all about dentistry. There needs to be very clean, concise images within the website. There's a lot of things on the back end that we do called image optimization. We make sure that all of the meta descriptions, which are fancy words, and all of the alt tags are optimized. The website is optimized specifically for the services that are being offered. The website has to have a nice clean sitemap, so that when those crawlers crawl that website, they can easily find what they're looking for on the website.
Sitemap's kind of like a roadmap for your website?
Correct, yeah. It tells the Google bots how to go on the how to get to where they need to go on the website. So it's like you said, it's a nice roadmap of what's going on within that site.
Cool. What needs to be done on an ongoing basis with a website to get it ranked higher? Right.
Well, when it comes to ongoing SEO, the key for a website to really perform the way that it should on the internet is fresh and unique and relevant content that's constantly being added to that site. So the way that Google looks at it is that if you have a website and you're constantly adding blogs or updating pictures or tweaking the content within that page based on the behavior of your users, Google looks at you and says, okay, this is someone that's really maintaining your website, and I know that you're current, and I know that you're doing everything that you need to do, so you're going to get some props in my book for that, and it'll raise your rankings a little bit. Yeah. So that ongoing optimization is something that my team, for instance, goes in and makes sure that all the images look great, so that if someone were to go to Google and type in porcelain veneers, the next thing that would come up would be an image that's optimized for porcelain veneers, meaning that whoever's looking for it is going to see exactly what they're looking for portrayed in those images. So there's a lot of things on the back end. There's a lot of code cleanup. There's a lot of things we do within Webmaster Tools to make sure that the site's loading properly, like we talked about a little bit earlier. Google looks at that as a site that's being well maintained is a site that is just that. It's well maintained, and it's one that really deserves a little bit more of a raise in the ranks than one that's not.
How important is site speed these days? You mentioned load times and whatnot. How does that play into the whole picture?
Well, no one has any patience anymore, right? When we go to the website, we want it up just like that. We want to be able to see it. We don't want one that we click on an image and the image takes forever to load. What happens? You get mad and you leave the site and you'll go somewhere else, right? So the key is, Google really wants your site to load within 4 to 5 seconds. So you want to make sure that all the pages within your site, the images can load really nice and really quickly, and that the content comes up quickly and that someone can look through it very quickly. Because if not, it's something that we call that the user could bounce, which means they're going to bounce off the site and go somewhere else.
To the next dentist down the road.
To the next dentist down the road, right.
On the website, what kind of things do you want to see for interactivity, or what kind of things can lead to a negative user experience and negative SEO?
Right. Well, Google's all about user experience. Google wants to make sure that when someone comes to the site, it's easier for them to navigate, easier for them to get around, easy to make sure they can get what they're looking for. So some of the things that can get in the way are bad links, links within the site that don't work, that are broken, or maybe link to nowhere, or link to something completely off topic. Some other things are, sometimes people can get carried away with the ads that they have on their website, or any kind of blinking, kind of gimmicky type of giveaways, distractions. So Google definitely looks at that when it comes to user experience. A big thing, is really it's interactive. Everyone likes to be able to take quizzes, or they like to be able to click on something and get something in return, right? So a big thing for Google recently has been any kind of user experience when it comes to being something that's interactive on the website. And that typically is something that users really enjoy, and that it keeps them around the website a little bit longer. And so all of those things kind of tie into the user experience piece.
What about the big thing from the past as well as now is keywords and keyword phrases, as it's called now.
Right.
How important are keywords still in today's world for our dentists?
Keywords are likely the most important piece of the whole puzzle. There's a lot of research that goes into determining what type of keyword a specific user looks for. So there's a lot of behavior, a lot of psychology that marketers look at to find out what people are looking for on the internet in order to make sure the site is optimized for that specific keyword. So for instance, our dentists, we spend a lot of time doing a lot of keyword research to determine how are all the different ways people go into a search engine, and how do they type in? What do they type in order to find that website? Do they look for dentists in their city? Do they search by zip codes? Do they look for specific services? Do they there's lots of different variables to it. It's funny, what we found is that it's very different depending on what region people live in, what specifically a dentist might specialize in, or if it's general dentistry. It really just depends on, there's a lot of things that go into it. I think that the takeaway is that there's a lot of research that goes into finding exactly what people are looking for on the internet. And you also have to have the right tools to know what happens to someone when they do search something on the internet, and then what happens when they go to a site. Is there a specific pattern? Is it cosmetic dentistry leads to teeth whitening and then on to something else? Or is it they're specifically going into the internet and looking for teeth whitening? There's a lot of things on the back end that we look at to see what's the behavior there? What are the keywords? What are they looking for? So, and then to top it off is that, it's not just about the keyword, because not just about finding what they're looking for, but then Google wants to comes around and gives us some rules that say, well, I want you to talk about that specific keyword, but I don't want you to talk about it too much, because if you talk about it too much, I'm going to ding you within the algorithm. So there's a very fine line, and there's no hard, fast rules into how many keywords on a page are too many keywords. I think the key there is to make things seem natural, so that a user that comes to the site, a visitor comes to the site, they make sure that when they're reading the content, it's not overwhelming to them. So keywords are a complicated thing. There's a fine line to how people search and how much is too much on a website, but it's definitely the main part of SEO. Everything revolves around that keyword.
So How much of your time, pulling all this stuff that you need to be doing for SEO together, how much of your time and your team's time do you spend, let's say, on a typical elite client of ours?
Yes.
How much time on a monthly basis from you and your entire team goes into one elite client doing search engine optimization?
Oh gosh, that's a full-time job. In order to compete with digital space on the internet, it takes a hand in it all the time. Not to mention the actual tasks that we're handling on a day-to-day basis. There's the content writing and the image optimization and the, all of the social media piece of it and the blog writing and, the keyword research and all that good stuff. I mean, there's a whole list of tasks that we do, right, to make sure that the sites stay high organically. Mm-hmm. But there's an awful lot of research that we do in the background, in the back end too, to make sure that we know what's going on in the industry. So it's not just about the dentist, but it's also about Google and what's Google doing, what's changing, what's happening within the industry. So it's a continuous education. It's a continuous education for our team, and then it's also testing and experimenting and finding out what's working. So it's definitely a full-time job for one person, but not to mention for one person for one client. But we have an entire team dedicated to our clients.
What about when you're pulling all this together? Give me a high-level overview of what one of our SEO packages looks like, what you're doing, where you're spending your time on that monthly basis.
Sure. My team our head is stuck in analytics all the time. We're looking to find out what it is that brings someone to a website, what's the behavior that they take on the website, where do they go from one page to the next. We're looking to find out how much time they're spending, at what point are we losing or are we not losing visitors during a specific time, because eventually people, they're not going to spend 15 minutes on a website. They're going to move their way around, right, to find what they're looking for and then pick up the phone and call our dentist. That's the hope.
Oh, yeah.
So, our SEO packages revolve around those analytics. The first couple months, we really learn a lot about the behavior of the users, and then we're constantly tweaking it at that point forward. So to make sure that we're getting as many calls as we can. So our SEO packages, what do they look like? They look like a lot of research in regards to keywords, building the sites to make sure that they're up to Google standards, making sure that the website is optimized for those keywords and for those services that we're looking for, and then an ongoing effort to make sure that all the webmaster checks come out right, all the mechanics of the website are correct, all the coding on the website is correct, all the fancy stuff on the back end that probably no one can read and understand except for myself.
Yeah.
And then all of the things that, the trends within the industry. So the package it's broad and it's ongoing, and sometimes it's not as black and white as as one might want to be able to see it, because there's so many moving parts to it.
Some of the buzzwords in the industry that I've heard lately are behavioral marketing and
Right.
neuro-linguistic programming,
Yeah.
and evidence-based marketing. Would you
Right.
say that those are pieces?
Oh, absolutely.
How it kind of sounds like you're talking about those things without using those words.
Right. Everyone searches differently. There's different generations search differently. They're looking for specific different things that are going to, fulfill their own needs. So we have to look at some things. For instance, we may market Invisalign to someone very, very different than we might, market traditional metal braces to someone else. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that we look at, is to say, we do a lot of communication. There's a lot of communication that happens with our dentists to make sure, hey, who is your perfect target audience? What's that persona look like? How can we make sure that the website is modeled after that persona to attract that persona? There's lots of things that go into it. So when it comes to the website design, there's that piece of it. But then there's also, how can I speak in the right tone and the right voice to the right person to make sure that I attract them, get them to come to the site, stick around long enough, but then ultimately get them to make a phone call. So absolutely, there's a lot of behavioral marketing that go into it. And the SEO piece of it is a piece of that, because we have a whole group of writers that write to that persona, and then we optimize for that persona. Lots of moving parts.
So for the dentist that wants to do the SEO himself, that wants to maybe hire a staff member that does the SEO, what advice can you give to that dentist?
I think that a lot of people would be able to go to the internet and probably find enough research on the internet, because it's such a widely talked about topic in terms of SEO. And they could find what they need in order to probably do it themselves, or maybe enlist a coworker to do it for them. The bottom line is that, doing SEO is not what makes dentists money. Being a dentist is what makes dentists money. So they don't want to spend their time doing SEO. They want to have someone who knows what they're doing, who can do the research for them, and stay on top of the industry, do it for them. Otherwise, it's really money down the drain for them.
What do you see as our niche in the dental market? I mean, how important is it to have an SEO company that does only dentists versus any SEO company out there in the world?
Right. I do hear that quite often. There's a lot of talk in the industry about, SEO is SEO. It doesn't matter who you're doing SEO for. And it's certainly not true. We talked a little bit about the behavior of the users that go to the website and what people are looking for. And being able to provide SEO services for a niche market it's an amazing opportunity for our dentists to rise to the top of those ranks and get more patients, because there's someone on the back end, our SmartBox digital marketing team, that are looking specifically for them and looking for their patients on their behalf on the internet and enticing them to come to our website. The other the most unique portion about what SmartBox can offer when it comes to SEO and digital marketing is that, we're really trying to elicit a very atypical response when it comes to digital marketing than just getting a web response on the internet. Mm-hmm. A lot of digital agencies out there, they look at that as a success. Let's submit a contact form, and that's as far as it goes. What we're really trying to do is get phone calls to that office. And in order to get phone calls to that office, we know what works. We know what can we put on a website that would entice someone to pick up the phone and call, rather than looking around the internet, submitting a form, or trying to schedule online. I think that's really the difference for us, is that we know what's going to get someone to pick up the phone and how that office can get them in the chair and then in turn sell them.
So talking about phone calls, how are you tracking the results from the SEO and the marketing that you and your team are doing?
Right. Well, we tag all the phone numbers that come in, so we know exactly where the traffic's coming from. Mm-hmm. We can see if it's coming from an AdWord that we're using when it comes to Google AdWords, or we can see if it's an organic search result. There's lots of different things we can see on the back end. And then we have a team that listens to every call. We can tell exactly where they're calling from. Are they a new patient? And then we also really look to find out, how many of those calls are actually getting scheduled. And that's a big thing for us. We can take all the information and slice it and dice it any way that we want to find out exactly where they're coming from. But ultimately, it comes from the number of phone calls that are coming into the office and how many patients they're getting scheduled.
We specialize in helping dentists that want more patients, more profits, and ultimately more freedom from the dental practice. If that sounds like you, if you're a dentist that's interested in doubling or tripling your practice, give one of our practice consultants a call. They'll do a market analysis, a practice blueprint for your particular practice, your particular situation, that can show you the path to attracting more and better patients. Well, thanks for being on the show, Lori.
Thanks for
I appreciate your time. Thanks for viewing and hanging out. Thanks for giving us your time to learn about what you need to grow your practice and attract more and better patients. We appreciate it very much, and we look forward to bringing you another edition of Inside Patient Attraction next month. Keep moving forward.